Hey everyone, welcome to a new vlog. My name is Allie. So as you can see, I am technically already back from my little trip that I took to Massachusetts, wearing my Boston Red Sox hat, clearly, but I realized that I didn't really do like an intro clip to this vlog and explaining everything. So last Thursday we started our trip to Massachusetts, and we were kind of doing like a lot during this trip, honestly. The first thing, biggest thing about this trip is that we were going there to watch my brother get engaged, and obviously that is like the biggest deal out of this entire trip and out of this entire vlog, and that was a lot of fun and really exciting, and basically the entire reason why we went back east. So that was a lot of fun, and that all ended up happening in Rhode Island, so we did get to explore a little bit of Rhode Island, and then we also got to explore a little bit of Boston and just a few other areas in Massachusetts, and I had such a good time. But I just wanted to kind of intro this vlog and tell you guys what we were doing there. We were only there, we flew out from LAX on Friday. We ended up going down to LA on Thursday because we had a super early flight. And so we really just kind of wanted to like stay the night in LA, get up super early. I think I got up at like 3 o'clock, 3:30, and we left for the airport around 4:30, and I think our flight left at like 5:30. So it was like really kind of like bam everything happened. And then we got into Massachusetts at around noon, or a little bit in the afternoon, and chaos kind of ensued during that, but I will kind of let you guys go into the clips and see everything from my perspective. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy this vlog. So we basically started off our journey at Planet Fitness, of all places. I mean, this is kind of like my usual routine. And here's a little sneak peek of my outfit. Wore my Taylor sweatshirt, and before I knew it, we were in Boston and driving on our way from the airport to our hotel. And so these are just a couple of clips that I took, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So we got really lucky with the weather when we flew in. So this was our first official day in Massachusetts, and we ended up coming over to this area where they have a few of these really old Navy ships, and it was a lot of fun getting to kind of do a little like self-guided tour through them. And as I said, the weather was absolutely gorgeous, and they also had this really beautiful vintage carousel. And then after that, we kind of headed back to our hotel and got ready for the proposal that was going to happen that same day. And so we ended up driving all the way to Rhode Island, and we went to this really beautiful lighthouse. It was absolutely gorgeous, and we were so lucky that the weather was perfect. We had been so worried, so it was great.
Can you imagine they're on that side of the island?
Mm-hmm. And then after the proposal happened, we ended up going to this really awesome restaurant that had incredible drinks, and it was called The Reef, and it's in Newport, Rhode Island, and it was absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous.
This isn't my phone.
No,
That's your phone.
that's my phone. But you can have it.
Let me take a picture of that.
What happened to the egg?
We don't know.
I ate it.
Dad,
Matt?
tell me how that is.
I feel like I haven't seen you the whole night.
And then on our second full day, we took the entire day and explored Newport. We ended up getting a coffee at this place. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was absolutely horrible. The service was bad. The coffee was even worse. It was just a bad experience, but we didn't let that mar the rest of our day, and it ended up being really, really fun. And we got to walk all the way around Newport. It was so much fun. They had so many cool shops, and it definitely reminded me a lot of like a seaport village in San Diego, you know what I mean? And like, it was just so much fun. We had some Dell's soft frozen lemonade, and if you know anything about Dell's, that is the like real lemonade that is the inspiration for Lemonade Mouth. And then we ended up getting another iced coffee, and it was so much better from like a totally different place, and it was iconic. And then yeah, we just ended up having dinner later, and it was so much fun. And this was our last full day. So we ended up, me, my brother, and my dad, we kind of took the morning and went over to Lizzie Borden's house, and there is a really great coffee shop next door, and so we got a little iced coffee. It was so good, and it was just a lot of fun to kind of like look around and take it all in and see what it was about. There was like a tour that we could have done, but we ended up not doing it. And then later on in the day, we drove over to Boston and ended up doing a bus tour, which was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend doing a bus tour if you're there.
Abandoned California. Right side of the trolley, that's the Saunders Castle. It used to be where the guard to guard the governor stayed in the 1700s and 1800s. It is now a museum. It does actually. At a very young age, he was abandoned and orphaned, so he was a grumpy fellow from the beginning. The swan boats are up and running today. The swan boats have been in operation since the year 1800. Lived up here on Beacon. The left side of the trolley, you're going to see these row houses operated hotel here in the city of Boston. Inventor of the Parker House roll, but more important, 5. Left side of the trolley, in the courtyard of the old City Hall, you'll find a statue of Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is the city of Boston's most famous dropout. Old Ben dropped out of school at the age of 10 years old. Stop number 14 will be our next stop. Crossing over this bridge here, the Mayor Curley Bridge, designed by Joseph Strauss. Joseph Strauss is the same man who brought you the Golden Gate Bridge down in San Francisco.
And then we ended up getting off the bus and going to this coffee shop called Sorrel, and I absolutely loved it. It was so good. Probably my favorite coffee that I had all the entire trip. And we ended up making our way over to Fenway Park, and we did the Fenway Park tour, and it was absolutely so much fun. I highly recommend doing this as well. I am not typically like a guided tour person. Like, we don't usually do that kind of like touristy stuff, but I honestly really do recommend it if you are even a little like interested in seeing this historic ballpark. I believe that it's like the oldest ballpark in the United States, and it's so much fun. There's so much history, and you get to go up on the Green Monster, you get to go into the press box. It just ended up being a really, really cool and fun experience. Okay, so now we are at the end of the vlog, and I figured that I should do a little bit of a wrap up of like what I did, what I read. I ended up bringing In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle with me on the plane, and God, I don't even remember where I left off when I was on the plane. Shoot. I think I was about like, gosh, I can't even remember how far into this book I was. Not too far, I don't think. I might have been like 50 pages, 45, 50 pages into this book when I brought it with me, and I brought it because I was really enjoying it and I felt like it was kind of the right vibe. It's set on the East Coast. It is set in New York, and I wasn't going to New York, but I guess I should have brought my book with me that actually would kind of have something to do with Boston, and that is Play for Me. But I was already reading this book and I didn't feel like starting a whole brand new book just for this trip. And so I decided to bring this one with me. And basically this is about a young woman, and she has been in this relationship and she has a very, very close friend. She's living in New York, she's living her best life, and she ends up having this sort of like very vivid dream where it is 5 years into the future and she is in this incredible relationship with somebody who is not her current partner. And she's just like, whoa, that's really weird. And then 5 years later in the real world, she ends up meeting this guy and he is actually dating her best friend. And so it's a really, really intriguing premise. It sort of has this like almost fantastical element to it. And while it is sort of like women's lit, semi-romance, semi-literary fiction, like I'm not really sure where to categorize this book, but it has a little bit of everything. So if you're looking for something romantic, it has a little bit of that. It has a lot of like friendship ordeals. It has some medical ordeals as well, so definitely something to keep aware of that I was like not expecting. It took me totally off guard and it made me cry on the plane, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I read about half of it on the first flight to Boston, and I didn't read it continuously throughout the flight because I feel like I might have finished it if that had happened. So I did try to pace myself. I'm like, okay, read the first half on this flight and then you can read the last half on the second flight. And so that's exactly what I did, and I absolutely loved it. Like I said, I was totally crying my little eyes out, and it was just so emotional and so beautifully written. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely want to read more from this author because I think she might be a new fave. So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend this book. It was so good. I honestly didn't really get a lot of things from this trip. I did get obviously this hat because we did go on the Fenway Park tour. I love baseball, as you guys probably already know. And even though I'm not a Red Sox fan personally, I have really loved the Red Sox for a long time. And it was actually one of the teams that I like considered being a fan of when I was a lot younger. It was kind of between the Red Sox and the Angels, and I ended up choosing the Angels because obviously they're in Anaheim, they're in California, it's a lot closer, it makes a lot more sense. And I love the Angels so much. I love that stadium. I love Anaheim obviously because of Disneyland. And so I ended up being an Angels fan, but I have absolutely loved the Red Sox for such a long time, mainly because of the movie Fever Pitch, which I absolutely love, one of my favorite movies ever. I love Drew Barrymore, personally, love her. So the Red Sox have definitely held a very special place in my heart, and I'm so glad that I got to finally like go and sit on the Green Monster and tour the entire stadium. It was just so much fun, and we had a great tour guide. He was incredible. And yeah, we had a really great time in Boston actually. Like we went on a trolley bus tour sort of thing, which was a lot of fun. And I really love the vibe of that city. I thought it was really, really cool. There's a lot of history there, which is fun for me, being somebody who is kind of a history buff and loves to learn about those kind of things. So it was a lot of fun. I felt like I could have spent like an entire week in Boston and I still wouldn't have been able to do everything I wanted. I definitely want to go back because we didn't get to go to Concord. I really wanted to go because I'm a huge fan of Little Women. I love that movie, that book, everything about it. I'm such a huge fan. Like I grew up reading that book and watching the movies, so I definitely wanted to do that, but we just didn't have the time, honestly. Like I wanted to go tour the Orchard House, but it was only open from like 10 to 5 and there was no way we were gonna make it before 5, so we just ended up not trying to get there anyway. But I did really enjoy Newport, Rhode Island. I thought that was a lot of fun. It was such a cute little town, and it totally reminded me of like Seaport Village in San Diego. Definitely had that sort of like California vibe, but like make it East Coast, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a lot of fun and kind of reminded me a little bit of California, which was nice. I had a great time. I thought, you know, I love going to the East Coast. I think it's so much fun, and it is such a different place. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember the first time I went to New York, it was such a culture shock, and even coming to Boston and just like Massachusetts, Rhode Island, whatever, like it's still such a huge culture shock. But I am happy to be back in California. It's really warm this week. I feel like we're definitely getting a little bit of that summer weather coming in now, which was nice because when we left, it was still pretty overcast, still pretty like cold every day. And I was wearing like a sweatshirt every single day. It was freezing. But now I feel like since we've come back, it's definitely a lot warmer. And I have actually had to break out my little bedside table fan, which, yeah, that'll be by my bedside until November. Happy to be home. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna read next. I'm not quite sure. I have a Nisha Dolan book, Kind of Calling My Name right now. It's The Happy Couple. I think it came out last year, I want to say. But I've been wanting to read it for a while, and I have it out from the library, and I don't want to like have to return it before I can even finish reading it. So I definitely want to start that soon. But I did actually start listening to You Again by Kate Goldbeck, and I don't know, I think I'm like more than halfway through this book at this point. Unfortunately, I do have to listen to it on Audible because that's where I have it, and they don't have it from my library or anything, so I hate using Audible. It's like the worst. I definitely want to do a video talking about like audiobooks and like where to listen to them and where not to listen to them, and I hate Audible so much. I hate it. But unfortunately that's where I have it from. So I'm listening to this book. I'm absolutely loving it. It is so good. It's kind of like a mix between like an Ali Hazelwood book and When Harry Met Sally, and it just has all those vibes. It's so perfect. So it's kind of like a Raylo fanfiction, obviously, but I love Raylo fanfiction. I love Raylo, so it really doesn't bother me. But I feel like even if you are not into that, or like you're not in the fandom or anything, you would still really enjoy it. It's really good. It's very funny. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog and getting to hear me talk about all of the fun Massachusetts, Rhode Island things that I got up to. I had such a great time. It was so nice to see my brother and his now fiance and my soon-to-be sister-in-laws, both of them. I'm so happy, and it's kind of fun to have like basically sisters now because I've always wanted them, and I only have 2 brothers, so I love it. It's just the best. It's so much fun. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog, and if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, Storygraph, TikTok. All the links are down below, and I will see you all in my next video, which I think will be the Bridgerton video, so get excited. Yeah, I will see you all in my next one. Bye!